Hello there, this is the guy enjoying the get power in PvE and welcome back to this AFK journey video. So after our initial rounds of testing as well as even more testing on our own account in terms of the AFK stage push itself, turns out Lenya is an insanely good PvE character and she's one of those rare characters in the game that doesn't require iron synergy in the team itself. So without further ado, right, in today's video we're going to talk about her skill combinations as well as recommend the strongest PvE team for Lenya. Okay, so first of all, let's start with her skills description. For her, she's a one range physical rogue character from the Wildest faction. The charm that I use with her is the combat charm, which provides for haste as well as crit percentage. The reason why I equip her with this charm is for the additional crit percent as well as the haste to empower and speed up her skills as well as her normal attack itself. So the increase in crit will actually empower her other skills, which I'll talk about later. So let's run through her skills one by one. Ultimate Wild Duel allows her to target the enemy, right, who deals the most damage, usually the carry from the enemy's team, kick them to an open space and then chase them with the second kick. So whenever she's using this duel, the whole duel lasts for 12 seconds, right, and during the duel itself, the enemy as well as Lenya will prioritize attacking each other, and this flying kick will be able to stun the enemy while giving Lenya the unaffected status. So she won't be interrupted when she's performing the flying kick as well as the strong kicks itself once she uses her skill. So this is a very powerful kit, and this duel is quite important because later on her EX weapon will enforce this duel ability. So that's for the ultimate. Okay, her second skill, Tornado Strike, allows her to passively block a normal attack from her current target if the target is within 1 tile, so that 1v1 target that she's dueling, and she can then retaliate with a kick to do additional damage and further stun the target. So this effect can be triggered once every 6 seconds, making, right, Lenya unaffected while active. So this blocking ability triggers once every 6 seconds, and other than blocking, she's also able to counter, do additional damage as well as stun the enemy. So increase in level, right, allows her to perform increased damage from the active of the tornado kick itself. So that's for the second skill. Now next, let's move on to the third skill, Flurry Kicks. Lenya increases her crit by 15. When dealing crit damage with her normal attacks, she immediately follows up with a power kick to deal damage as well as stun the enemy for 1 second. So this skill itself doesn't have a cooldown. So for this part, I will actually go into the characters page to show you guys. So for this part of Lenya's kit, this skill right here doesn't have a cooldown, meaning if Lenya is able to crit consecutively, she has a chance to stun lock the enemy, right, on a 1-by-1 basis. So there's a reason why I chose to equip her with the combat spell, because this gives her the additional haste as well as upwards of 30% extra crit for her to synergize with her third skill for that stun locking ability. Okay, so hero focus is increase in haste during battle, so very good hero focus skill. And lastly, winning resolves is her EX weapon skill. So this winning resolves allows her to unlock her full potential once a duel begins. So this is when she activates her ultimate, increasing her crit damage boost by 55 and attack by 15% during the duel. And when she's in full potential, meaning when she's dueling the enemy itself, her Flurry Kicks, which is the third skill, will deliver a super kick instead of a power kick. So this allows her to do even more damage because this is 70% times 8 times and stuns the enemy for 2 seconds. So the base Flurry Kick is only 240, right? If you increase skill damage, it's 270, but this one, right, this is 70%. So each kick has a chance to crit and you do it 8 times, so it's a lot more damage. And further increase in level increases the crit damage boost as well as attack percentage. And if you have EX weapon level 10 right here, she will be able to actually get increased buff potential upwards to 8 seconds if she did more damage than her target at the end of the world. So this boost is actually really massive because it's a massive crit damage boost, and she has inbuilt crit with more crit from the magical charm ability and potentially from your other allies itself. She is quite a hard hitter if she's able to activate the ultimate itself. So Supreme Plus Enhanced Force skill reduces damage taken from enemies other than her target by 35%, which increases her survivability. And her seasonal skill, right, is Battle Rush. Okay, so this is one thing which I failed to cover in her skills introduction previously, but if you're on a Song of Trials season, this ability is actually really insane because she wants to actually spam her ultimate. So when she casts her ultimate itself, first of all, you're getting the winning resolve buff, And right, whenever she casts the ultimate, you get additional haste, which allows you to spam your flurry kicks, which is further enhanced by winning resolve right here. So moving towards the team building portion, Lenya is actually one of those unique units that steps out of the usual Iron framework. Even though she's Wilder's character, she's a physical attacker, so the magical defense debuff that Iron provides doesn't really benefit her that much. And for Lenya's case, she can actually carry the whole team, so you can actually build a PvE team that actually does really well in your AFK stages even without Smokey. So in today's best Lenya PvE team, I would actually recommend a team without both Iron as well as Smokey that you guys can use, which is, I would say, pretty refreshing, because Smokey and Iron has been dominating the late game PvE side of things for a really long time. And for Lenya's team itself, let's start with the very first unit. I'll strongly recommend you use a Torrent in the team, because Torrent is actually really good in terms of just absorbing damage for her, provided you have both of them at Supreme Plus. You need Supreme Plus for Lenya for that massive boost from winning resolve, and you need Torrent as Supreme Plus for that linking to take reduced damage on Lenya itself. So when you have Torrent together with Lenya, number one, Lenya has her own damage reduction from the Supreme Plus enhanced force ability, and then Torrent linking to the ally will be able to take some damage for Lenya, which will protect her better to actually do what she wants to do. Okay, so I think Torrent will be quite important to just protect her a little more. But if you, for example, do a Torrent, which is really unlikely, you can obviously use Fresto to give that damage reduction to Lenya as well. So that's one way you can use Lenya in the team. But most of the time, I think people will have Torrent. So Torrent will be pretty sufficient in terms of the tanking as well as absorbing damage portion. So next, the healer side, you have three choice, right? You can use Healwyn, you can use Ludovic, you can also use Damien. Okay, so what I would suggest is running a double healer for the team, because it would most of the time be sufficient to keep Lenya alive for her to do what she wants to do. And the difference between Healwyn and Ludovic versus Healwyn and Damien is that Damien is a unit that I think the heals can be a little bit unstable, whereas for Ludovic and Healwyn, they have like this mobile healing that just goes after the weakest ally, which means that even if Lenya is running all over the place on her own to do damage, the two healers, which are Ludovic as well as Healwyn, will be able to heal her up. So that is the strength for Ludovic as well as Healwyn. So if you are using Damien and Healwyn, then it will be more for the factional bonuses. If you are running Healwyn together with Ludovic, then it will be more for the mobile healing purposes. So it depends on what you need and which unit you have developed. Choose the healers based on your personal need itself. Okay, so that is my recommendation. And right, if you don't have any of the healers I recommended here, I think Smokey as well as Coco works as well. I think in general Smokey is just a really good PvE character, period. But the thing is, for this team itself, because I'm not going to rely on Iron, so I have no way to actually reposition the enemies into Smokey's ultimate, which is a little bit of reduced efficiency, and Lenya is going to be running all over the place. So Smokey's heal might not be able to cover the areas that Lenya runs into, even though Smokey is an amazing PvE character. So yes, you can definitely run Smokey and Coco in the team to protect Lenya, but right, it is not the most optimal setup. So the most optimal will be definitely having Healwyn, because Healwyn just heals Lenya all over the place. The global healing is just good no matter where Lenya is. And then, right, I will be using Ludovic for that mobile healing to showcase how Lenya can perform on her own. So for the very last slot itself, I think it's a relatively flexible slot. You can use Danny for that taunt as well as the additional control. Taunting by Danny will actually bait away some of the damage from Lenya to reduce pressure on her so that she can deliver damage on her own. And trust me, Lenya delivers damage. She is a very, very hard hitter, provided you create enough space for her to do her stuff. So that's why I use Danny. But I don't think Danny is that, I'll say, like commonly used by a lot of people. So if you don't have Danny, you can obviously use back Iron for the additional control as well as the additional reposition ability. So on and so forth. I think it's still okay, right? If you don't have Iron built up, right, you can obviously run a triple healer strat as well, provided you have that many healers developed. So those are the few recommendations that I can recommend for Lenya's team. Even if you don't want additional control, what you can do is obviously use Leica in the team, right? So this last slot I'll say is flexible. It depends on what you need for the stage, depends on what you need for the team. Leica is actually surprisingly good with Lenya because Leica's Imperial Blessing, which is the second skill itself, provides for increased attack speed for Lenya to crit more, to hit harder, as well as give the defense reduction with her ultimate itself. So this will give more damage to Lenya for her to do even more damage and speed up her overall energy charging from the increased attack speed from the Imperial Blessing itself. So you can obviously use Leica. So later on I'll showcase the different variants that are suggested. You can also obviously use our dear Reina over here. Right, so you can use Reina swap on Lenya to use her as the core unit. So that is one thing. This will give her massive damage reduction as well as massive heals as well. So this will actually keep her sustain going. So there is quite a few options for the very last slot. But I'll say the core 4 units will be this 4 and then slot in the other units based on your own unit investment. You can even use this here for additional control as well as secondary damage itself. But for this run, okay, what I'm gonna do, right, is I'm gonna use a unit which people don't use often, which is Danny. So I will showcase probably a few battles, right, with this team setup, and then I'm going to switch over to another team setup. So Lenya is a breath of fresh air because she sort of moved out of the Iron team setup, which I mentioned earlier, which means that even if you don't have, I'll say like if you're somebody who's new to the game, even if you don't have the other magical attackers built up like Arden, Iron, you can build Lenya and use her as your main carry because she functions really well just on her own, and all you gotta do is to make sure that you keep her alive, which is quite doable if you have Torrent in the team. So this is her performance number 1. Okay, so I'm gonna off the auto battle and showcase the damage numbers. So this is 33 build done on her own without any additional buff from the other teammates itself. Okay, so now let's switch out Danny for example, right? If you don't need the additional control, you want more damage, you want the team to hit faster and harder, right, then you can use Leica because she is your single carry for the team, right? Leica just speeds up that process of her steamrolling. So what Lenya wants to do is to spam her ultimate, get the resolve going, and then get that buff duration increase because she's going to hit so hard that she does more damage than the enemies, right? So you guys can see Ludovic as well as Hewin just mobile healing her to keep her healthy so that she can just move around, kick the enemy no matter you know, based on the optimal position itself. Okay, and Leica is just there for the additional boost as well as physical defense, so that her being a physical attacker will get the buff. So that is with Leica. Okay, and right, obviously you can also use Reina over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch out Lenya in, okay, because this will make her the mega carry. So the last slot is relatively flexible, and in terms of the core units, what I'll say is Torrent is core, okay, Hewin is also quite core, and Ludovic is, I'll say, like flexible. I think Hewin is a lot more important. Ludovic is I'll say like a substitute for Damien or in the same position as Damien. So depending on whether or not you have Damien built up, you can switch the third unit or that third core unit in the team respectively. Yeah, so basically Torrent, Hewin as well as Lenya are the cores, and then for the 4th healer or that 2nd healer slot, you can use Ludovic, you can use Smokey, you can use Coco, you can also use Damien as well. But if you want more factional synergy, then it's Damien. If you want mobile healing, it's Ludovic. And then if you don't have any other healers developed but you have Smokey developed, then it's Smokey. Okay, so in this stage, I think this is one stage which I think Lenya will struggle because, right, this team doesn't have a lot of AoE power. So in this scenario, you can obviously put in all the good AoE attackers to help with this situation because Lenya is a very single target centric character. So this is where she will struggle a little bit, but you guys can see her burst damage potential. So it is just insane seeing her jumping around, kicking people with the ultimate and then bringing down really quickly. So we still have Torrent to wait out. So unfortunately, Lenya is being controlled in the middle by the spider in this battle. Okay, but with that sustain going on from Ludovic and Hewin, I think she should be okay. Yeah, she should be able to survive. We kill a spider really fast, and then we are left with Damien's card. Oh wait, we still got one more spider there. I think we should be able to kill off the enemy. Yeah, her damage output is really fast. Can I kill off the cut? Okay, we kill off with 3 seconds left. So this is, I'll say, like one stage where she struggles. And if you take a look at her damage over here, it's just freaking insane. With this, this is nothing to be scoffed at. This is smoky level damage. And I'll say if for the last lot itself, right, it's flexible. So let's say if you need more AoE damage, you can use Arden as well, right? If you need more control and tank, Danny is a good choice. You can also use Freyasto, because Freyasto also has a good seasonal ability right now to taunt the enemy, and also give the energy regen to one of your supports for them to make sure your whole team is healthy. And if you need more damage output, then Leica is a good choice, like I mentioned earlier. So it is a very flexible team built up with, I'll say, these 3 units being the core, and you probably need your second healer. So this will, I'll say, be the core, and then one last unit being in the flexible slot. Okay, so I'll put Damien in the team, and then I'm gonna put Scalita, okay, just for the final battle itself. But in most cases, I'll run Danny together with her, because Danny's taunt as well as root is quite impactful to just protect the team. Because taunt is actually a very underrated skill, even though Torrent is an amazing tank, but Torrent doesn't have taunt. So in certain situations, if you have the taunt ability to sort of bait the enemies itself, yeah, that could be something. Okay, I'm gonna put Lenya together with Danny for one last battle, so as to show you guys the auto battle. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna include the montage for recording, I mean for the battles itself, after this video, so you guys can go and see her power in terms of solo pushing. And right, that's pretty much it for this video. Right, I'm not gonna sort of drag out the conversation for too long, because what I want to showcase is her PvE AFK stage pushing prowess. She's one of those units that falls out of that usual team framework, and she's quite auto-friendly provided you have enough sustain for her. So that's it for this best PvE team showcase for Lenya. And do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.
Lounging around is my ultimate life goal. Lounging around is my ultimate life goal. Lounging around is my ultimate life goal. ultimate life goal.